Hello, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to switch it up from my typical content of GeoGuessr, and I'm going to do a tier list of cities in northwestern Pennsylvania, which will definitely be very biased as someone who grew up there, but that's not the point. The point is that I'm going to put them in a tier list. So we're going to start off with Meadville, a place that I have spent quite a bit of time in my life. I don't know. I don't find it to be like a horrible place or anything. I mean, it definitely has room for improvement, but it's not like the worst place in the world. We're gonna put Meadville in B tier, cause it could be much better. All right. Next up, we're going to do Union City, which is like 25 miles south of Erie. I don't really have a lot good to say about Union City. I mean, it's just kind of somewhere you go if you're trying to go to Erie. And, like, as a whole, it looks really run down. And, I mean, I haven't been to a lot of the neighborhoods because I've pretty much just driven through it or rode through it my entire life. But, I mean, it doesn't look that good. It's kind of depressing to look at when you see it, and like, I don't know, just as a whole, like, I don't like it. So F tier. Alright, next up we have Oil City. I don't know. Oil City has really pretty views of the river and stuff, but then all you hear about it are stories, and it doesn't look terribly run down. There seems to be a lot of nicer houses, so I wouldn't like say it's the worst place in the world, but I wouldn't say it's the best either. I mean, I have always tended to avoid it as much as possible. But, I mean, it's not horrible. C tier for Oil City, if I put it in the right spot. Alright. So, next up we have Waterford, which is about 10 miles south of Erie. I mean, the buildings in Waterford look pretty nice. It's a pretty small place, but it's kind of like Union City where you don't really do anything but drive through it to go to Erie. There just isn't that much going on there. They do have like a nice restaurant and stuff. But I mean, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, there isn't like, it like doesn't depress you to look at it. Like, they did a good job of keeping like their downtown nice. I'll put it in B tier with Meadville. Alright, so next up we have Titusville. Titusville. Yeah, it's depressing as hell, and you don't want to grow up there, so F tier. Alright. So next up we have Edinburgh. Edinburgh is home of what used to be Edinburgh University. It's now Penn West University. A lot of nice houses, a nice downtown. It kind of sucks to drive through it, but I mean, it's not horrid by any means. But I wouldn't say it's like the greatest. But I don't have anything bad to say about it either. So we'll put Edinburgh in the A tier. Alright, next up we have Franklin. Franklin is right near Oil City. Probably at most a 10-15 minute drive between the two of them. They actually do have a really nice downtown. They have the only like old time theater I've seen in a small town in the area that's still going. That's actually pretty nice. They have nice parades and everything. It's not like very run down looking. I mean, it's not that nice looking either outside of the downtown, but it's not horrible. There's a lot of one-way streets, which drives me insane personally, but that's a personal preference, obviously. But as a whole, I tend to try to avoid Franklin. I don't find there to be too much interesting to do most of the time, and driving through Franklin, you have three major routes in the region that meet there, and if it's busy, it gets very congested and very annoying to drive. So, I mean, I'm going to put it with Oil City in the C tier. It could be better. Alright, next up we have Seneca. Seneca is, I don't know, it's kind of like a suburb type deal of like Oil City. Like if you drive south from Oil City, you go up the hill and you go through Seneca. And I mean, I personally would group it in Cranberry Township there in Venango County as one. And like Seneca has nice houses and everything, but then everybody uses it and Cranberry interchangeably. And Cranberry is home to the most depressing mall I have seen in my entire life. That it's just awful to see. Which to me just kind of knocks it down a peg, because it's not, I don't know, it's just not fun to travel there. And then you drive up and you just hit the top of the hill and you have all these businesses. And then with those businesses you just have a dying mall with a pothole-filled parking lot that no one really goes to anymore and somehow is still open. I'm going to put Seneca... I think it's C tier. It's not horrible, but it definitely could be better. Next, we have Warren. That would be, I guess for a reference, that would be like about an hour and a half away from Erie, I believe. Like 60 some miles. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere on its own. They've done a really good job of keeping their historic buildings. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. But then it also kind of stinks half the time because there's a big oil refinery still in Warren. Which, I mean, it's good for the economy there, obviously, but it's not fun when you go there and it smells like rotten eggs or whatever other random smells you get from that refinery. So... But then, like, the whole area around Warren's really pretty mountains, lots of trees. The Kinzu Dam's near there. Lots of places to fish, lots of places to hike, ride a bike, camp, anything you would want. And, I mean, the drive in the general area is really pretty. So, I'm going to give Warren a B tier, because I really do not have any major issues with Warren other than the smell of the refinery. Okay, so next up, we're going to do Corry, PA. That would be, I think, an hour from Erie, maybe 45 minutes. It's about 15 miles east of Union City. Corry has a really nice downtown, and for the most part it looks nice, but it doesn't seem like there's very much to do. And then if you're coming from like Spartansburg area on like Route 77, you come in and in there is just, it just doesn't look that great when you come in and you see the older industrial buildings that haven't been well maintained or anything, and the road isn't that nice, and that's kind of the biggest impression I get from Corry. I mean, I'm sure if you live there and you like it, you could easily explain to me why you like it. I don't find Corry to be that great, other than the downtown. The rest of it's kind of depressing and boring, and it just gives a lot of rundown, dead vibes to me. So I'm going to put Corry in the D tier. Alright, so next up we have Mill Creek Township, which is a suburb of Erie. I mean, that is home to like the biggest shopping area in the entire region, which is terrible to drive in, but there is a lot to do. I haven't explored it very much, but there's a lot of newer, nicer houses, a lot of nice neighborhoods. And there's just a lot to do in general. So I'd put it in the A tier. Alright, next up after that, we have Northeast PA. Northeast is like, I think, a 20-minute drive on I-90 from Erie. It is in wine country. If you drive regular state roads to it, it is actually really pretty to go there. Northeast still has a nice looking downtown. They have a nice park downtown. The drive there is really nice. And I mean, it doesn't seem like there's too much to do, but like as a whole, it is just very scenic going there. It is very good looking town for the most part. I do genuinely like it. So I'm going to actually put Northeast in the S tier, just because of its downtown and the surrounding area. Alright, next up we have Cambridge Springs. Cambridge Springs is like 20 minutes from north of Meadville. I don't know. I've seen it on like tier list ranked really high. Well, not tier list, but list of like the best cities to move in PA, like towns for like retired people. I mean, Cambridge Springs is pretty nice looking. It's actually one of the few examples of places that aren't around Erie with a population that has grown at all since like the 90s at best. It's not, I don't know, it's not a bad place. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to do, but I mean, it's not a bad drive either. Really nice looking downtown, really well maintained setup. I'm gonna put Cambridge Springs in the B tier. Okay, so next up we have Erie itself. I don't know, Erie is kind of a mixed bag. I mean, compared to everywhere else on this list, I mean, Mill Creek is the only other place that I've listed here with over 20,000 people living there. Erie has its bad sides. I mean, it does. And it can be terrible to drive in that area, even in the city of Erie. But I mean, as a whole, like, there is still lots to do in the area. You can go up to Presque Isle, which I think is technically in Mill Creek Township, but I mean, it's basically part of Erie. The Bayfront's really nice. There's a convention center and everything. There's a lot of really nice areas in Erie. It's a lot of jobs compared to everywhere else in this region. And as a whole, I do find it to be not that bad of a place and kind of overblown for all the problems that it has. So I'm actually going to put Erie in the A tier. Alright, so our last city on the list is going to be Harbor Creek Township, which is not really a city. I think there's a place in it, technically, that isn't official. But it would be on the east, like, past the east side of Erie. It does border Erie. And, I mean, as a whole, it's not that bad. There's a lot of shopping you can do there on Buffalo Road. You hit the first part of wine country out there, which is really nice to drive through. There's a lot of really nice houses. There's a good amount of stuff to do. But then it's really spread out. I mean, it's not really a city, and it probably shouldn't be on a city tier list, and neither should Mill Creek, but for the area, they're some of the biggest places. So, I mean, I don't have a lot of negative feelings towards it. I don't think it's the greatest either, but like it isn't at all bad. So I'm gonna actually put it in the B tier. So that is our last city. So I guess just to recap, Northeast is our only city in the S tier. In the A tier we have Edinburgh, Mill Creek Township, and the city of Erie. B tier we have Meadville, Waterford, Warren, Cambridge Springs, and Harbor Creek Township. The C tier we have Oil City, Franklin, and Seneca. The D tier we have Corey. We have nothing in the E tier. And in the F tier we have Union City and Titusville. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.